If you're making trap beats, I'm sorry, rappers aren't buying trap beats. You got to switch the genre up. You got to make pop. You got to make country. You got to make something else, something other than trap. Here's why.
Trap beats are too easy to produce and too hard to sell.
I feel like most people who say trap beats are too easy to make usually think of this when they think of a trap beat. When in reality, whatever you want to call them, trap beats, beats with sub bass and trap sounds in them have gotten pretty crazy. Like, for example, if you haven't heard this, listen, this is one of the craziest beats one of my favorite beats of the last 5 years. And it's described as rage, digi, trap, I don't know, some kind of subgenre with the word trap in it. So let's talk about trap beats not selling, why rappers aren't buying trap beats. Actually, first, let's tackle this question. Is making trap beats too easy? Is it especially easier than making other types of beats, like an R&B beat or a soulful beat, because the man in the video makes great soul beats? I'm probably going to get a lot of angry comments for saying this, but I think that in terms of just technique, making great competitive modern trap beats might be harder than making soulful beats. And the only reason I say that is because, all right, look, if you're going to make an amazing R&B beat or an amazing soulful beat, then you probably have to know music theory, or you have to be proficient in music theory, maybe not formally trained, but you got to play keys, you got to know the chord voicings, you probably should play guitar or bass, something where you're proficient in that sound, and that sound requires theory, not a lot of musicality. Whereas trap beats, it's not so much music theory. It can be, but it's not a requirement, I don't think. So why did I say that it was so difficult to make modern trap beats? Well, learning music theory is kind of straightforward. You learn it. You pick up an instrument. You pick up a guitar, a bass, a Rhodes. You study jazz chord theory. You study gospel. You study all of these genres that are well established. You can go on and get a tutorial. When it comes to trap, this is all the sound design stuff is new. So a lot of it is just emerging. So I'm not saying that you have to be a better musician or a smarter person to make trap beats. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying there's a steeper learning curve, I think, for sound design than there is for a producer who can already play an instrument when it comes to making trap beats versus soul beats. Here's what I mean. This dude Nico is just killing shit right now. And he makes trap loops, and he's got a lot of stuff going on. Same with, shout out to Max Shooter. This is him showing his process, and look at all these damn pedals. There's just a lot going on, and I'm not even getting into the videos where producers, and check out Lucid's videos, for an example of that, where they're showing the process of resampling in FL or even in Ableton, where you're just taking something, resampling it, relooping it, resampling it, pitch it. It's just a lot. So if nothing else, you can't draw a simple conclusion that one is easier than the other, that trap beats are just simple to make and they're easy to make. Now let's talk about if there are differences in selling beats and which beats sell. I have some insight in this. So let's watch the full video first for the context, and then Dame and I are going to weigh in on this.
Trap beats are too easy to produce and too hard to sell. Let's tell the truth and shame that old devil. When you make trap beats, who do you got to sell to? The YNs. How many times have you seen the YNs ripping and running to the studio, happy, ready to buy a beat? They don't run to the studio ready to buy the beat. They rip it and run to the studio to take the beat and rip it and rap all over it, and they might not want to pay you for the studio session. Or maybe it's just me. But I'll tell you this. Every trap beat that I produce, when the YNs put it out, it go to Spotify. I never get no publishing. They say, "Hey, big dog, I'm going to make you a hit." I've been hearing Negroes tell me for decades, "Hey, Meg, I promise you, you got that Grammy right there, I can get you another one." I say, "You cannot get me another one because you don't know how to make a hit." I do.
I feel like this is the type of black dude that does listen to Hobson. That's the vibes I was getting. rippity rapping. Like, yo.
Well,
Like,
I'm
what?
glad you said, because I like, if you say YN once, just leave it at that. Don't keep saying it, please. It's not even. I don't even want to go there. I'm not the right messenger for that, but
Yeah.
it felt. I don't know. It didn't feel great listening to that. But this is a very accomplished producer, multi instrumentalist, has a Grammy, has worked with some amazing artists. I'm not familiar with his content, but I think this kind of over the top theatrical, preacher persona is probably his brand. So that's why it's entertaining. I was tagged in the comments. People wanted me to comment on this. I'm like, let's bring it on the podcast, see what Dame thinks. What do you think of how it represents generational or intergenerational collaboration and that dynamic within hip hop?
I mean, it's not helpful. I mean, I get, like, do trap beat sell? Like, I'm sure they still do, and I know it's not just young black youth that are because I've seen a lot of, like, the
Yeah,
little
country
mob.
snatched those beats right up. It's not
Yeah,
that country isn't black music, it is, but people don't want to have that conversation either. It's just everywhere. Trap, pop is trap beat. When we covered the whole no rap on Billboard thing, I was like, everything in the top 10, it's a country song, it's a pop song, they all have trap beats. Where did they get that from? Are we really saying that hip hop production is irrelevant? Separate topic, but it's relevant.
but my thing is, it's like, if so, I don't, I've never heard of this cat. I've never seen this cat. So if you telling me he's an accomplished producer, like, I just don't understand why he's not making content about the accomplishments. Like, if this is another leg of what he does, and like content, getting attention and creating these videos, then okay. But like, if he does have those accomplishments under his belt, then he's put in the work and he understands, like, how to have that success. Like, and this is just a snippet. I'm assuming he's got a lot of other content. Maybe
Tons of content.
maybe his other content is what I'm referring to. But
Probably.
like, why not hone in on the positives? Because you're gonna find that people that are early in music or in it for the wrong reasons, no matter what their background is, like, they're not going to be paying for beats. They're not going to understand why they're paying for beats. They're not going to understand why they, what splits are, who should get splits. They're not going to understand master versus publishing. But it's not. That's like all people getting into music and not having the knowledge. This video just seems like he's coming down on young black folks. Like,
Right.
so,
Yeah. And my thing was, like, when I was younger, that's who I was selling most of my beats to. It wasn't ever a problem for me where I felt like my whole thing was, so when he said, people have been telling me for decades they're going to get me a Grammy, I'm like, yeah, that resonates, because I felt the same way. Where it's always, Payne, I'll get you a plaque. It's like, no, you won't. I don't even say that. It's good to be positive. It's good to have a positive outlook.
but they probably believe, like, they don't yet understand how difficult it is to have. They're green. They're like,
Right.
I feel like my music sounds like what just went platinum, so I can recreate that. Like, I'm next.
Well, but the point is, he says he has been hearing it for decades. So if you've been hearing it for decades, that's not anything new.
Right.
Because the people that 20 years ago were telling you that, they're 40 now. They're not young. So same with me, I'm 40 something now. So everyone that I was working with before is probably older than me. And it's the same story. Artists are just gonna bullshit. And there's always been that kind of entitlement. So producers watching this, previously I would try to convince people, no, you can make whatever beats you want. No, don't worry. I'm not debating. I'll tell people that directly, but I'm not arguing against the narratives, because if he wants to say don't make trap beats, or he's not even saying don't make trap beats, he's saying they don't sell, they don't make money. And if any producer is watching that and they're like, damn, I got to switch genres up. I got to make country now. Cool. Go over there and stay there. Because that just kind of creates more space for the people for whom that style of beat is their core sound. Let people run around like chickens with their heads cut off because they saw a clip. If you go,
what beats are selling? Like, is there a particular sound for you, for yours? And it's going to be very specific to that particular producer, right? Like,
right.
I wouldn't look at.
I make soul beats too, so I think the part with that he's saying that's absolutely true is he says trap beats cater to a younger audience. I wouldn't even necessarily agree to that because trap beats have been around forever. It's more modern beats like rage or I don't know. There are all these subgenres now. So if you're making those types of beats and you're catering more towards a younger, and you can check your statistics, you can check your analytics, who's watching your videos. If it's all 16-year-olds, guess who doesn't have much disposable income? 16-year-olds. But if you're making, and people like Diego Torres talk about this a lot. Certain niches in the SEO world of production, like Meek Mill type beat or neo soul type beat, those kind of subgenres of hip hop attract older audiences generally. And so those folks are less likely to be of the generation that just rips stuff off YouTube. They're probably technologically more limited. So then they're more likely to buy the beat. They're more likely to have money saved up. They're more likely to have full-time jobs, that type of thing. 16-year-olds, 17, 18, 19, 20, they're in school, they're in college, or they have entry-level positions. So what he's saying in that regard, yeah, that's true. The two things he said are you can't really sell trap beats or trap beats don't sell. If you go to the top charts on Beatstars right now, I guarantee you the top beats are going to be in the trap genre. And those charts are based on sales entirely. And you know that because you work for it. It's only sales. That's the only metric.
Right. I think like there's enough consumers for every type of beat for you to lock in and kind of own a space. Like even if you specialized in beats that include yodeling or whatever. Like there's, I don't feel like you should stay away from any type of beat because if it's dope, there's gonna be somebody that wants to, collaborate and use that particular production. But yeah, I was just curious for you, like, is there a certain style or sound for your brand that is it the more soulful stuff because that's probably most of a lot of your stuff.
What I make, yeah. I think what sells is what translates. So if you make something that really it sounds good to you, that's coming from your soul and spirit, and that's what you love making, that's going to translate to the listener. And that could be any type of beat, you know what I mean? And that could be, that includes the people you're collaborating with. So it doesn't matter. And, I also take issue with the statement that trap beats are too easy to make, because I hear that all the time too. And it's like, that's because you don't really like that. And I feel like, this is a perfect example where I don't feel like he enjoys those types of beats to begin with. And a lot of people that don't like them probably don't listen to them. And they don't collaborate with the people who make them at a high level. So, of course, they're not going to have that holistic of a view or much experience making them because they don't enjoy it. It's like, people, if you book a DJ that's a house DJ and they're like, yeah, we need you to play rap. It's a rap party. They're not going to play the most current, hottest shit because they're not going to know it because they're not in that space. So the people that don't make trap beats, they're not going to understand the sound design that goes into it necessarily. They're gonna listen to it very briefly and be like, oh, I could do that shit. And I'll probably just, I don't want to talk about this too long. I'll probably explain this in my intro, but I feel like there's a case to be made that trap beats are actually harder to make than soul beats sometimes, in a lot of cases. And the reason is because of the sound design element. Because nowadays, it's not like I could, back in the 2000s, the early 2000s, you could say, all right, that those trap beats, you're just plucking little chords and stuff. Okay, well, it was more about certain rhythms and this and that. But sure, musicality wise, pretty simple. But there wasn't much sound design. We didn't have all the weird EDM people doing weird resampling and this and that. Sound design was kind of more avant-garde at that point. But now that's just kind of the norm. And you see people, you look up trap sound design right now on YouTube, you're going to see a bunch of shorts and it'll be younger people in a studio with, a chain of 10 guitar pedals running through their outboard gear back into their whatever SSL, whatever little interface they have. It wasn't like that 20 years ago, regardless of what type of music you were making, whether it was soul beats, whether it was boom bap beats, whatever. So I'll expand on that in the intro on my channel. But, when I see videos like this, I'm not comfortable making it. Number one, I like everything because I feel like the second you stop liking everything, you start aging rapidly. I kind of look at this video and I'm like, oh man, they're making the dudes that are, 40 plus look a little crazy. Like we're just screaming at the new generation. And I don't want to be like that because I listen to all music. Yeah. I play all music. I learn from all music.